What is that? A bowl of rice. Wisdom nectar. Any other thoughts? A merely labeled bowl of rice. Merely labeled and dependent upon what? Spaces? Spaces? Oh, it's spaces. Which are? Individual rice grains and a glass bowl. I'll go with that one. Bear with me with this because I'm still processing this a little bit. But I was thinking so much about watching His Holiness the Dalai Lama last night in conversation with Greta Thunberg and a couple of scientists about the urgency of the climate concerns, global warming. And what he said, you know, he's been saying this a lot lately in the teachings that we've been listening to all year. We keep saying, human beings, one family. Human beings, one family. And last night he got into it quite a lot. He said, you know, the human brain is marvelous, but human beings create a lot of problems. He said, in some way we create a lot of good things, but at the same time we create a lot of problems, even to the extent of the ecology. Much of the problems in the world, he says, is our creation, and the question he asks is why? We have too much thinking. Firstly, we are self. Then my nation, my country. Then my family. He said we're thinking in a very small circle. In reality, individual human life depends on the family. The family's life depends on the community. And now in today's world, the entire 7 billion human beings are one human community. Now the time has come, he said, we have to think of the entire humanity. Thinking with a small circle is unrealistic. 7 billion human beings, our entire life depends on each other. It makes so much sense. But when we look, we see a bowl of rice. We don't see, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of grains of rice in this bowl. When we think all sentient beings, we think of some big blob of something. I don't know what appears to your mind. It's not a bunch, it's not 7 billion human beings alone, one by one, bringing them to mind. Even you think of the Sravasti Abbey community, you say that one thing, and you get this kind of sea of red robes, right? And bald heads. We have to stop and think, oh, that one. The kindness of that one, the kindness of that one, one by one by one by one. It's our ignorant minds that wants to take this, all these individual things happening, and slaps a thing on top of it and goes, it's this circle. And as His Holiness also said, we have this circle thinking us and them, other way around, us and them. If they're not inside my circle, then they're outside. If they're not in my circle, then they're outside my circle. Us, them. We're different. And so, you know, bringing that to the present thing in the United States, with what happened at the Capitol on Wednesday and the storming and insurrection that happened in the government, you know, already people are, it's like us and them. Us would never do that. Them. Or, you know, the rhetoric around, we are not like this. This is not who we are. Now, how many times have we heard this in the last while? This is not who we are. Honey, it is who we are. If our we includes all of this, then it is who we are. It's not all of who we are. It's not its own circle too. But it's a part of who we are. And so, just like when we're doing purification practice, as we saw so much on the Vajrasattva retreat last week, if we don't have the wherewithal to look and honestly examine our own fault, to really look at it and go, yeah, this is something I did. This is something I regret. This is something I want to change. I will engage in purification practice. Then there's no purification. We just kind of skate along and deny that this is a part of who I am. And so as a people, if we don't accept that this is a part of who we are, we can never actually work together to transform and overcome the negativities as a nation. And if we don't look at the whole situation of climate change and global warming and what each and every single one of us participates in creating the conditions that make the permafrost thaw, that make the oceans rise, if we're not all engaged somehow in at least examining our own activities that creating all this carbon in the climate, in the atmosphere, then how can we change it? So it so comes back to this, our understanding of looking at dependent arising in a really practical way. Not just this theoretical, yes, all conditioned phenomena depends on the causes and conditions, all phenomena depend on its parts, all phenomena depend on being merely conceived in labels. What does that mean in a practical sense? How many grains of rice are in this bowl? And how many of 7 billion human beings can change? How many 7 human beings want to get on a plane tomorrow anyway? Can't. They're all at home. We all have COVID virus together. We all are dealing with the COVID virus together. It's so mind-boggling to start taking about individuals one by one, by one, by one, by one, by one, by one. And yet this is how we change the world. It's also how we change and transform our own minds, is to thinking in that kind of detail. Now, I am by nature a generalist, so it's not my inclination to think about things one by one by one. But the teaching really is the necessity. If I want to think about if I want to think about the suffering of living beings, I have to first look at my own. I have to look at that list. Oh, there is no stability in samsara. That's right. No, this mind is never happy. It's constantly craving. That's right. No, there is death. This body is going to cease. These mind and body are going to separate, and then it's going to get reborn. Unequivocally, it's going to happen. If it happens to me, that happens to you. And I have to think about it happening to you, not to all living beings. If I think about it happening to you, then my compassion really starts to arise. Then I start to think, oh, we've got a problem. We have a problem in samsara. We have a problem of global warming. We have a problem of a democracy caving in. We have a problem of virus affecting a lot of people. It's so easy to numb out on the big problems and also to get caught up on them and get hysterical about them, and that's not my point. What I want to talk about is how we bring that into our Tara practice, because that's what we're dealing with right now. So how would we think about all of these things and all of these people and all these situations in terms of our Tara practice? So for one thing, especially here early in the retreat, I imagine that we're all starting to think about what are the qualities of Tara? What are the qualities of the Buddha? She's a manifestation of all the Buddha's enlightened qualities. Well, among those, do they have equal compassion for all, regardless of whether we have faith in them or not? And they fulfill the aims of all beings, regardless of whether those beings have helped them or not. So a mind that has equal compassion for all, regardless of whether they believe in us or care about us or not, is a mind that has the capacity to see in each and every single being the potential to become just like Tara. No matter what they're doing right now. And so their circle of we and they, there isn't one. There is no circle of we and they. So how, in my practice, as I sit on the cushion and bring to mind the qualities of Tara and all living beings around me, how can I bring one by one the images of, I don't know, I know people are mostly offline, but even so, those pictures of the guy with half a red face and half a blue face and his big horns who is storming the Capitol, I mean, you just get this image. Oh, put him here. He's got the potential to be Tara just like I do. He's in my circle. The people who are going to start drilling in the Arctic, assuming that gets happened when the permafrost is now thawing, they need to be in my circle because they're in Tara's circle. And how do I grow myself to have a mind as big as Tara's? It's not, okay? It is a mind overwhelmed with ignorance. But the potential of this practice is to try to expand that thinking so that just like Tara has the wisdom to be able to see every single grain here. Not that she's all that interested in the rice grains. She's really interested in every single one of us and every single one of big us. We, 7 billion humans, we, how many billions and billions and billions of animals, we, billions and billions, uncountable living beings, to see every single one knowing the potential to become Tara. That kind of mind is, to me, mind-boggling. But to bring that awareness into practice, I think is helpful. So then also if we're doing the 8 dangers, for example, we're reflecting on those 8 dangers in the sadhana, and Tara's light is raining down on all sentient beings and purifying us and purifying them. It's like, well, the thieves of wrong views are ever present in the world. I can see that. Where are they present in me? Can I accept that this is who I am too, beset by the thieves of wrong views, and Tara can reign equally on me and the beings that I am judging for having wrong views? The lion of pride, I know I have it. I know some people out there that I really, really have it. But can I acknowledge that Tara's light is reigning equally on me and on them as we do this practice? And then the other thing about this bowl of rice and this grains, one by one, is that if each grain is a human, just imagine that, okay? All these humans in this bowl. Every single action by everybody in this bowl affects the whole bowl. Really? I mean, if you think about it like that, it's really clear. So our practice is really important. It's the most valuable thing, actually, that I have to offer, because I don't have any of Tara's skills in that way. 0. But what I can do is sit on that cushion 3, 4, 5 times a day, however many sessions we're doing at this point, bring to mind those qualities, bring to mind the sufferings of sentient beings, try to match up my own aspiration to relieve that suffering with the aspiration to attain those qualities so that I really could be of benefit. That makes a difference to every rice grain in this bowl, every time I do it. His Holiness said in his book, where he wrote he said it last night, if we have the capacity to destroy the earth as human beings, then we have the capacity to protect it. And then in the same vein, I got an email from Lama Lakshmi Zangpo of the Sintamati Chuling, who, it was a year-end letter, if you're on people's mailing list, you get these. But he said as something that was so meaningful, he said, for our New Year resolution is to achieve Buddhahood. by taking one step forward on the path of liberation each day, each month, each year. One step each day, each month, each year, one grain at a time, one step at a time. Every step we take affects every grain in the bowl. It's also something I can't see with my naked eyes. Sometimes I can see the accumulative effect somewhere a little bit, but to try to think in this big way that His Holiness is asking us to make our circle so huge, one person by one person by one person by one person, then the effect of our entire practice is huge. And it's one step on the path every day to our own full awakening so that we can hold all these beings in mind. Never take our attention off benefiting them, no matter whether they're on our side or not, and make our practice meaningful. So that's what I've been thinking, and have a good practice. Yes. Question.
Sorry, I was a little slow at the beginning. When you ask what you see, I think I used to look at that and say, this is just a bowl of rice. But I learned from Thich Nhat Hanh, he said that when you look at that, you see the whole universe in that bowl of rice. You see the sun, the moon, the river, the water. You see the farmers who make the tools. You see all the conditions that come together for that bowl of rice. And how about the bowl of that bowl? You see that was for the whole universe. So the farmers who made their clothes, who made the tool. So you see that. So it's no longer just rice. It's the whole universe that made in that bowl of rice. And that's why we see a bigger picture. And that's why we bring the environment, the earth, the whole universe, the whole cosmos in that bowl of rice.
Thank you, Venerable Pende. That is exactly it.